Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you? It's good to be in front of some real people. Calling to order the zoning subcommittee meeting of Monday, June 21st, 2021. We'll all rise and salute the flag.
Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee. Councilor Janino. Here. Councilor Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Councilor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti.
Here.
Here. Council President Zambudo. Absent. And Chairman Keefe.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Why not?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We just have one item in front of us this afternoon, and it's relative to the urban farming and beekeeping ordinance. There has been quite a well-drafted ordinance submitted, and it has been discussed in public hearings in the council, as well as we've received a number of comments from the community, mostly in support, which was very nice to see, with a lot of great reading material. There was some housekeeping on the Revere side when it comes to the city planner and putting in their recommendations. Through those recommendations, there are a few amendments that will be offered to the motion. I'm sorry, to the ordinance, and we can further discuss this ordinance as a zoning subcommittee and hear from anyone in the public. So, to start us off, any of the subcommittee members, any of the zoning subcommittee members wishing to speak or have anything to add? Councilor Guanasso.
I don't have anything to add at all. I think it's a perfect draft. I think that it's an opportunity for the community to get involved with something like this. Shows community get-togetherness, and it shows our younger folks that what we're all about. And I think that this is an effort that is really deserving of our city, and certainly I look forward to seeing this grow in future years, and hopefully we'll get everybody to go out and have some fun doing it and entertain themselves, but don't lose sight of the fact of what it really is all about. And I think that I look forward to voting for this, and I think Mr. Chairman and the members of the subcommittee and those who drafted this proposal deserve a round of applause, and for all those folks outside the audience right here that they're showing their sign of support. With their strength behind their voices, it certainly means a lot to us, and we certainly are very proud of our occasion that's going on tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor.
Chairman.
Any other zoning subcommittee members wish to speak on this? And Councilor Rotundo, did I see you wanted to speak? Councilor Rotundo?
Actually, there are several things that I don't agree with as far as the amendments. I'll give you one in particular. It should be a matter of right in PDD 1 and 2 for vertical farming. There shouldn't be any issue with that, as well as rooftop farming. I believe Dimple Rana may have some input as well, and I'd like to listen to hers. Because here we have places like the MGH, or for that matter, the new buildings that are going to be constructed over at Suffolk Downs. When you take a look at all the buildings in Boston, I can name them off the top of my head where they actually have a rooftop farm. I mean, I can't see why we couldn't do that. And, you know, this is, as it stood at its very incitement, was probably the most progressive ordinance in the state, and that's pretty much, you know, in part due to Ms. Rana. So I would like for the committee to listen to her, and I believe that she shares some of my concerns regarding this particular issue. There's another issue as far as owning hens and so forth near someone's property, and I forget exactly how that's worded, but I'd like to get into a little conversation with Ms. Rana and go from there.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I know there's some members of the public wishing to speak. I did want to point out on this, it's obviously a very lengthy ordinance, and it's something new to the city. And anytime we add regulation, there has to be some structure to it, where I would agree, there's going to be some potential buildings or residents that have the ability to do rooftop. But if we just go ahead and open it one fell swoop, even in certain areas, it could get a little dicey. Because where do you justify who can, who can't? But I think establishing this ordinance and then being able to approve certain areas with special permit down the road might be a little bit more of the right step or the right approach. At least that was going to be my taking on it. But again, I'd be happy to hear from some of the residents. I did want to bring out a few other points, but actually, why don't anyone in the public wishing to speak, come on up to the podium? And then there's no proponents. This isn't a public hearing. That's already been. This is just the zoning subcommittee. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Dimple Rana. I'm the Director of Community Health and Engagement, and I reside at 49 South Ave, Revere. Thank you for hearing tonight's urban farming ordinance and the zoning subcommittee. Just to answer Councilor Rotundo's questions, first regarding vertical farming and rooftop gardens, and also acknowledging that this would be, if passed as is, this would be the most progressive urban farming ordinance in the region, if not the state, and would be really exciting for the city of Revere, especially since we have a lot of new development occurring here where vertical farming and rooftop farms would most likely be installed. There are regulations that need to be adhered to make sure that roofs are sturdy enough to handle all the water and also the weight of the soil for urban farms. And again, the regulations that would be needed to go through the planning board, through the zoning board, et cetera, to get those awarded. In addition, our community gardens, I'm excited to share that from the 2 that we've had, we've increased to now 4, and our wait list continues to grow. And of the 47 that we had originally, of the 47 plots that we've had, we've now expanded to 73. But a lot of our demand and our wait lists are actually from newer residents, from the newer buildings, where these vertical farms and rooftop farms would be an asset to, especially also in Suffolk Downs, where there are a lot of great technology and biotech buildings that will also go up, but it can be another space for urban farming, especially since the city is limited in so much open space, to continue to expand our community gardens and even urban farming. And so to answer Councilor Rotundo's questions, the rooftop gardens would have to, again, go through criteria for residential to commercial, but the commercial is where I would hope to see a lot of the rooftop farms, as we've seen with Fenway Park. Part of the reading list that I sent over, Boston Medical Center, is also happy to talk to any of the city councilors about their rooftop farm and the success of the Boston Medical Center and how they've also actually helped patients in their dietary and health needs as a result of eating local and fresh produce. But before I keep going on, actually, there are a few residents, including 2 teachers, who would like to ask to come up and speak in order. Michael Flynn, teacher at Seacoast High School. They've received several mini-grant awards for their community garden, their hydroponics lab, and also their aquaponics lab. In addition, Elmer Catt, who's a resident of Oak Island, who is in support of backyard chickens. Damian DeMarco, also a teacher at Seacoast High School and our local beekeeper. And Angela Walsh, a recent recipient of our new raised bed pilot program the raised beds are being built by the Revere Police Activities League.
Thank you. We'd love to hear from them, and I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that there is a subcommittee meeting scheduled shortly after this one, so we want to make sure that we're being respectful of everyone's time. So please, if you would like to come on up, keep your comments brief. And Councilor Rotundo, just for the edification, is rooftop gardens would be totally okay. It's right now the farming end of it, or the chicken coops, that would have some restrictions.
And by what I see here, unless I'm reading it incorrectly, it says PDD 1 and PDD 2 says no on rooftop farmings. I mean, if I'm not reading it correctly, please let me know, but that's what it looks like.
No,
Yeah.
there's some zoned areas, but then those will be able to, as mentioned, come back for more. And as everyone can see, this is a pretty favorable amount of space that's going to be started with. So, name and address for the record.
My name is Michael Flynn. I'm a teacher at Seacoast High School, and I'm so excited about this initiative. We have our students really working. They're the ones that create the garden. They're the ones who make sure the garden is watered. They work on planting everything, harvest everything. And the fun part about it, they see the importance of urban growing, and also it's a way for them to realize that, healthy eating is very expensive, and they see that this is a way for them to get their own crops. I welcome anybody. It's right in back of the Beachmont School. I'd welcome anybody to come see it. It's great. I'd like to thank my colleague, Mr. Perella. He's the one that's actually leading the project. We have an urban growers class that we offer our high school students, and it's also part of the community service hours. So I can't thank Dimple, the organization, the city. I can't thank them enough. And again, this is more student-led. That's what excites me. So I just wanted to thank you, and if there's anything I could do to help, I'd be more than welcome.
Thank you.
To lend a hand. Thank you, folks.
Well, I'd like to thank the committee for advancing
Name and
this.
address for the record, Mr. Name and address for the record.
Elmer Cat, 52 Ellerton Street. Thank you to the committee for advancing this proposal. I've owned a house on Oak Island for 11 years, and I've wished for chickens for a long time. And other than that, a couple of benefits. You probably studied most of this, but chickens, by consuming kitchen scraps, keep that out of our garbage flow. And chickens are also beneficial for vermin control. They kill mice, insects, mosquitoes, most importantly, ticks. The tick population is really on the rise now, ticks that spread Lyme disease, and having chickens as another weapon to control it would be a healthful addition for the neighborhood. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela Garza Walsh. I'm at 192 Lincoln Street. I've been a resident of Revere for about a year now. Absolutely love it. I'm to come from Ipswich, but I did grow up in the South. We had chickens on our farm when I was younger. I was also a Mass Audubon naturalist for 12 years. So I'm very excited about the possibility of having chickens in my home. I do kind of know what I'm talking about, and I just really think it's beneficial for the environment, reducing our carbon footprint, and just not having to, go to the store and get eggs and not knowing what is going into the chickens that are producing the eggs. And I'm very excited about it, and I didn't think that a city would do something like this coming from the suburbs in the South, so it's very exciting. And I just really hope, and I'm encouraging you to pass this bill for the chickens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Delaney. I live at 125 Broadtown Ave, Revere. I've lived here on and off almost my whole life, and I'm here to support the urban farming initiative. I think chickens are really important to reduce our urban footprint. They are natural pest controllers. They are a great educational tool for our kids. Also, I'm here to support bees, because without the bees, we would not have the beautiful garden that's now next door to my house. We need them as pollinators. And I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Damian DeMarco. I'm a resident of 202 Prospect Ave, and I have been a teacher in the Revere school system for 18 years. 5 years ago, I attended school myself. I went to bee school with the Boston Area Beekeepers Club, and I've been a beekeeper for 5 years. For the last 3 years, I've been managing 2 hives down at Gibson Park. I'm in full support of this. I think this is tremendous. Bees are very important for pollination, And also, beekeeping is a wonderful hobby. Bees make no noise, they don't need to be fed. They go off and forage. If they're placed in the right location, nobody knows they're there. Takes no electricity. It's a wonderful hobby. I encourage everybody to get into it, and I would love the city to support having residents maintain local backyard beehives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeMarco. Also want to mention Mr. DeMarco happens to be the resident expert in Revere with beekeeping, and because we don't have a current ordinance and regulations, he was able to support because of some neighbors that had been maintaining bees without doing it properly, so he was able to support us. Thank you for your help.
How you doing? Nico Kostopoulos, 111 Mill Street. I'm not for or against this. I think community gardening is a great thing. Unfortunately, chickens, I do have concerns. So one thing I know about the city is we pass an ordinance, we never revisit it. So we say, okay, we're gonna do this. We never come back in a year. Like most contracts, when you have a vendor, right? You're in the food industry. When you have a vendor, you revisit that contract, the HVAC guy, you revisit it and see how it's looking. The city never does that on any ordinance. So what I think is if this passes, and I'm gonna tell you my concerns in a minute, but if this passes, no matter what happens, we have to revisit it and see how it's going. What are the residents' concerns in a year from now? What are the problems that are gonna come up that we don't know? We can sit at this meeting and we can be all about it. But I know so I'm Greek and Italian, and as my leather-skinned Italian ancestors and predecessors had chickens, I know about the smell if you don't clean out those cages. Back in East Boston on Chelsea Street, there were chickens 2 houses up from my grandmother's.
Pigs too. Pigs.
Your pigs too. Yes, sir. So we know if we don't clean up after that, and the ammonia smell which chickens produce, which poultry produces, if we do simple research on Google, that will tell us what we should expect from this, right? So I just did some simple Google searches sitting right back here in the room. Chickens produce ammonia. I know what that pungent smell is from a kid, and I can remember it right now, and I'm sure some of you here remember that as well. What are we gonna do? What checks and balances are we gonna put in place if this ordinance is passed? That's my question. Is this gonna attract rats from the feed? How is the feed gonna be stored? Right? This is gonna attract the smell, the rats. How is the feed gonna be stored? And what are we gonna do if a resident does have complaints about someone that's not following the guidelines or the perimeters that are put in place?
Mr. Kostopoulos, those are very good comments and concerns, and I think that a lot of the council shares these concerns with maintaining the ordinance, but also safeguarding the residents. The Board of Health is going to have their hands full in making sure that they're able to inspect and make sure that it is done properly, and we're going to have the teeth in the ordinance so that it can be properly regulated. That's why you create an ordinance in the city. You know, it's just like anything. If you have speeding laws and things like that, you could say there's no speeding laws. Because the speeding laws, you're not going to stop speeding. Doesn't mean people aren't going to drive down Broadway 100.
Exactly.
Right? So it's up to the police to enforce those speeding laws. And the same thing goes for this. We're going to be able to add these. The city's been, you grew up, I mean, I don't know if you grew up in Revere, but most of my family that maybe grew up in Revere, like our fellow councilors, West Revere had pig farms. There was goats, there was horses, there was horse stables, and chickens,
sir.
right? Different times, of course. So this will be able to help shape the ordinance so that it can be managed properly. And I totally agree. We have the obligation to make sure that we're keeping the checkers in balance as well, so that if it's not being dealt with, then we have to revise the ordinance a year from now. We have to revise the ordinance.
So are you guys willing to, 1 year from now, if this ordinance passes, are you guys willing to revisit this in 1 year from now?
Well, I think that's our job on 365 days a year is to make sure that the laws and regulations in our city are working. And if they're not, it's up to us to make sure that we help correct it.
So is that a yes?
Absolutely, every day. Not just a year, it could be 10 days from now.
I'm saying, so 1 year from when this ordinance passes.
I'm not going to set a date. I don't think, we're not going to, that's not part of
the whole thing, Counselor. So, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So we're going to pass, you're asking us to support an ordinance that is not going to be revisited?
We could revisit it 10 days from now. We could revisit
Yeah,
it.
right, I know you
Point
could
of
revisit it
information.
10 years from now,
Mr.
but what
Chairman,
I'm asking
point
you
of
is,
information.
Point of
to set it
Point
in
of order.
motion, let's put
State
it
your
in
point.
writing that we're going to.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Well, this isn't we're not setting motions in this zoning.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
So I understand.
Counselor Morbido.
I understand his concerns. Board of Health will be a big part of enforcement. As far as revisiting, for instance, Counselor Sereno just put in a motion to amend an ordinance last week, a rodent baiting ordinance. So we constantly revisit, like, for instance.
Well, I can tell you that
changing
ordinance
the
isn't
times of
followed.
a public meeting. So we constantly revisit things if it's not working. So you can be reassured that if something's not working, we have advocates like you in the community who will stand up and say, hey, this isn't working. These are our concerns. You come to us, we represent you. Whether we agree or disagree on issues, I work for you.
Yes, sir.
And I work for everyone in this chamber. So I won't take anyone's concerns lightly. So that's all you have to do is be a voice and we'll listen.
Oh, thank you for that. May I speak on one thing that Councilor
I don't
Morbido
want to
just
go,
said?
no, we're not going into any other
You're not going to go
rules
into that?
right now
Okay.
tonight.
All right, so
We're
I
gonna
have
stick
two
to
other
this.
topics I'd like to discuss about this particular
Point of
ordinance.
Make it
order.
quick, we're coming up on
Point of
time for the
order.
next meeting.
Okay, well,
Point of order.
unfortunately,
Councilor
I
Rotundo.
know you have a
Thank you,
timeline.
Councilor
19,
Rotundo.
thank you.
Councilor Rotundo.
Through you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. Nico, I will revisit it in a year, you got my word.
I'll revisit it in 10 days.
Well, I can trust you, Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. Any other?
I have two more issues. One is, who's going to manage this program?
The Board of Health, Inspectional Services.
I'm saying, but the person that's putting the ordinance forward, right? I've seen the way city departments have run under that program and the deficiencies within that department. And so I don't feel confident that, are all the rules going to be set up and followed? Who's going to set that up? Are there
Well,
going
I
to be
mean,
inspections like a building permit? So if I want to put a chicken coop next to my neighbor's window,
You would have to go and apply for a permit, correct?
okay,
Yes.
someone's going to come out
So
and
you would
inspect
have,
that.
we would have the names and addresses on file. This is all in the ordinance. This is all.
Okay, so
in-
now, we know we've developed the city into an urban development, right? We've developed every piece of land, every little postage stamp we can. We've put apartment buildings and houses on it. Now we're looking at turning in our direction into farming and urban development. So I think the city needs to pick a direction. Which
Well-
direction are we going in, councilors? Are we going in urban development, or are we going into farming? And my question is this: so if I decide, so me and my neighbor, we're about 4 feet apart, maybe, no, we're probably about 6 feet apart from our houses. So if I decide to put a chicken coop right on my property line that's right under his window, I can do that?
You'd have to go through Inspectional Services and fill.
But
fill a
who's
permit.
drawing up who's drawing
It's all-
up?
It's all in the ordinance.
So
Yes,
how many-
yes, you
all right, let me ask
potentially
you, so-
could.
So you're familiar with the ordinance, sir?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
you
so
could.
let
I
me
don't
ask
have-
you one question, sir. How many feet from my property line can I set up my chicken coop?
Well, you
So
have-
here's my property line, there's your window, I'm gonna set my chicken coop up right here, is that okay?
No.
So what is the
So I'm not,
ordinance?
you can pull the ordinance if you like. We've already had the public hearing, we've already had that piece. We're not going to debate, I mean, if you don't.
Mr. Chairman, this is a public hearing,
Thank you. No,
correct?
This is a public
So
hearing,
this
but
is
this is
where
a
we
zoning
discuss.
subcommittee.
This is where the
This isn't a
residents come
debate,
and
this
we
isn't a
discuss
debate.
this.
This is not a debate. Thank you.
Okay, you silencing me is not gonna solve the problem.
silencing you.
You
I'm-
are, sir, and you've done that several times.
not silencing
You don't
you.
give the residents our
Thank you.
time to speak, so I'm telling you a valid concern. You don't want to answer my question. You want
I
to
heard
shut
your
me up and
concern,
sit me
you
back
asked a
down in the
question.
chair.
We can only give everyone so much time, there's lots of residents here wishing
But
to speak.
why? Why do we only allow so much time? So if I have questions and concerns and they're not being answered, and I'm asking you a direct question, you're sitting there with the ordinance in front of you, you're supporting the ordinance,
You
you're
asked me a
supporting the
question, we gave you an
motion.
answer.
Okay, so what's the answer?
No, the answer was no.
So no, I can't set up here. So how many feet off my property line can I set up that chicken?
Hold on, let me go through this pages, and we would go through
All right.
every one of them. I don't have everything memorized in my head.
But this is what you see the point I'm
Yes.
trying to make, sir. I'm not
Pardon me,
trying to be
section 3, number 10.
disrespectful or combative. What I'm trying to say is, I'm looking out for the residents.
Correct, and I appreciate
What's going to
that.
happen in a year from now?
And I told you we would revisit it 10 days from now. I wouldn't even wait a year. I'll revisit it 2 weeks from now.
Oh, I thought you said 10 years. You said
No,
10 days.
10
Okay. All right,
I
I'm
will
sorry.
revisit it in 10
I
days if
misunderstood
that's
you
what
on
needs to be
that.
done.
So can we write in the ordinance, we'll revisit it?
We don't
Because
have to write it. It's a guarantee. We can revisit ordinances at any point in time. So you have my assurance, you have Councilor Morbido's,
so how does
and I
that-
would imagine you have the rest of the council.
all right, so
Mr.
let me ask you this. So how does that
Thank you,
ordinance?
Councilor Rotundo.
Nico, it explicitly states setbacks and so forth within it. It's set up by the guidelines that are set forth through the building department. If they don't meet that, that is an issue. Then you have the other component of health and safety, H1N1, which is also, I think what you're alluding to is concern. The issue will be settled by two departments, the health department and the building department. Nothing will be done without it. As far as the allotment of farming beds and things of that nature, I have full faith in the system that's in place right now, that it's done fairly, equitably, without any issue.
I believe it.
And in fact, that's why I supported it and helped write it. So I feel very comfortable with it, but the second anybody feels uncomfortable with it, like Councilor Morbido said, we work for you. He doesn't agree with you 100%, I don't agree with you 100%. But we work for you.
Well, I'm not against this.
No,
What
I
I'm
know that.
saying
I know
is,
that. You're just concerned.
I'm just looking to see if there's checks and balances. I don't want to get
Absolutely.
stuck with something now we own it.
Nico, absolutely
Now
there
the
is.
city owns it, now we're screwed.
Absolutely there
As
is.
much as I like hearing Nico, he's had enough time. I mean, we've got to allow others to speak. You
Yeah,
had
I get it,
great-
Councilor Zambudo. Who limits your time when you speak up
You
here?
had great
Bragging about
questions.
your
Listen,
accomplishments.
I'm not here to debate
You brag
you,
about
sir.
your
Mr.
accomplishments
I'm on
up
a
here and
point
you
of
take up
order.
the
Mr.
council's time.
Kostopoulos.
Now you're gonna tell me that
Please.
my
I'm on a
time is
point of
up?
order.
Please.
I'm gonna be respectful to this chair, but I want you to know, I heard you talk about your accomplishments the other day.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kostopoulos, all right.
But I'm gonna tell you, you need to give the
Mr.
residents time
Kostopoulos.
to speak and voice their concerns.
Mr.
With all
Kostopoulos.
due respect, sir, you had more than enough time to speak. There are a lot of other people here that want to speak.
No.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gina Salamone Castiello, long-life resident of Revere.
Thank you.
And I hope you hold true to your word, Stephen. I'm also a thick-skinned Italian, lifelong resident of this city. I love the idea of urban planting and beekeeping. We need bees for pollination. We need butterflies for our pollination, because I do tons of vertical growing in my yard. I strongly oppose to chickens. We are overdeveloped in this city. They are dirty. They are disease-causing, and they should not be in this community. They were taken off. I grew up in Revere, Ward 6, spinach farm, vegetable farms, pig farms, chicken farms. Chickens have been removed from Revere. I don't think they belong here. We don't have enough land to sustain them. My opinion. I love the idea of the bees because we need pollination. I love the idea of teaching children to grow their own food. It should be brought back into schools. I think they should bring back home economics in schools and woodworking in schools, but that's a different issue. So this is a wonderful idea. Teach children how to grow their own vegetables and food, and I can even teach them how to vertical grow. It's very inexpensive and easy. But chickens, I strongly oppose.
Appreciate your concern. Thank you. Hearing from no one else, I just wanted to put out has everyone gotten a chance to see the amendments that were suggested? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I love the idea of rooftop farming. I was at Fenway Park a couple summers ago, and I had no clue that they had a farm up in their roof. And it's unbelievable. They started that farm in 2015, and all that farming up there helps provide for all the restaurants in Fenway Park. And I think it's outstanding. It's a great idea. You want to know something? And it's good looking. You know, they did a nice job up there. I have a picture of it. I don't think it'll show, but here's a picture of Fenway Park. I don't know if they can see it, but it's greatly laid out, and everybody does it. Excuse me? I could do that. So anyway, I'm for this. I think it's a great idea, and we ought to move ahead, and we can adjust as we go along. Thank you.
Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I just want to urge my support of this. I know that there are hesitations. I know that people have concerns. But keep in mind, it sounds to me like the chickens are the main point of contention. I think everyone's on board with the plants and the bees and the less controversial pieces to the ordinance. But I think it's just important to put into perspective that just like any other animal in the city, it will be held to certain regulations. The same way if a person had a dog that they had in their yard that was not kept up, and the dog had messed in the yard, or there was dog food in the yard, or if you had a cat, which I think are filthy animals and can smell and have just as many issues as chickens, if not more, it's an animal, right? I love cats too, but you can't deny if you don't clean a litter box, it can get nasty, okay? So it's an animal, and I think it's important to put that in perspective. So if you have an animal and you neglect that animal, it should be taken away from you. If you're not caring for your property, if you're not caring for the animals on your property, it should not be there. Whether it is a dog, a cat, a ferret, a chicken, a squirrel, whatever you own. I don't know about that, Councilor Rotundo, but I think it's new, and even though it's not new to our community, it's new to this era and it's new to this generation. And I think it's, important to look at it and to realize that there's a huge disconnect right now with people and where their food comes from. You sit down and order a chicken cutlet at De Palma's, and there's a disconnect from where that piece of chicken came from. And there's a disconnect in how it got there. And I think it's important to not only educate the youth of our community and to see what's happening, but also know that it will be kept just like any other animal. ISD is phenomenal in the city. If there's people are calling me about getting a citation for the recycling because there is a bottle sticking out. If we're nitpicking about recycling bottles, you better bet if there's a chicken issue, we're going to be on top of it. So just like any other sanitary issue in the city, it will be maintained. And it is my hope that any animal that's living in this community is kept in a clean, safe, and healthy environment. So I understand the hesitations. It's a growing pain. But if I didn't think it was good for the community overall and I didn't think it was a good idea, I wouldn't support it because I've seen both sides, but I've been to communities where they do have things like this in place. And I think well-kept and well-regulated, it can be a really, really great program. So I urge you to bear with us and try it. And if there are problems, there are solutions, right? There's inspectional services. There are organizations within the city that are not going to allow this to become an issue. So please bear with us. And when there are problems, voice your concerns and know that there's going to be someone to answer those calls and to fix it when there's an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Zambito and then Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just say that I've received a lot of calls on this, and I'm gonna say to the citizens out there tonight just what I said to the people that called me. There are a lot of serious people who've put a lot of time into this, and it's not going to be a mishmash situation. Everybody's going to be watching this closely because we all want it to succeed. So I know there's some fear about the chickens and a few other items, but we certainly will be watched carefully. And I truly believe with the people that are involved in this is going to be a great situation. So I think there's some I think we have a lot of contempt prior to investigation. So let's hope that this works out the way we're pretty sure it's going to work out. And so that's why I'm supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have seen in Revere families who do have chickens and who do keep them right. They keep them and they use the eggs, and that's how they get their weekly eggs. If it's done right and it's done in a manner that's safe and healthy, there aren't any issues that arise. When they're not kept safely or when they're not kept properly, that's when issues arise. And to that point, Mr. Chairman, I just want to, for the edification of the public and through you to the clerk, we did put language in the ordinance to ensure that chickens cannot be kept on balconies and decks of multi-unit buildings. So that way, at a condo on the beach or, somewhere else in the city that has multi-units, there won't be chickens, on a balcony. So we tightened that up. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Sereno. And again, the Board of Health will be managing the disposal of the chicken waste, the chicken feed. It's all in there. Maximum amount, you can only have 6 chickens on a property, and there's not many properties in the city would qualify to have this, because just like putting a shed in your backyard, you can't put it up against your fence to get along your neighbor's window. But again, reading through the ordinance, it's okay to come up here and ask questions, and we're going to try and help. I'm not a dictionary. I'm not going to remember every little comma, but, don't just ask these broad questions thinking that assuming everything we do is wrong. We're going to try and do it right, and if we can't, we're going to fix it. Simple as that. And a lot of very good people put a lot of great time and effort into this. On that, Council, I would like to read out some of the proposed amendments, as Councilor Serino just mentioned, and see if you're in favor of voting this out of a subcommittee tonight. Madam Clerk, would you read the amendments? Sorry.
So these amendments were actually suggested by the planning board after their hearing on the matter. The amendments are as follows. Added to section 3, table of uses generally. Chicken coops on shared porches, balconies, decks, and rooftops on shared ownership lots such as duplex condominiums, two-family structures, and multifamily structures shall not be allowed. The Board of Health shall establish regulations for the management and disposal of chicken waste. The Board of Health shall establish regulations for the slaughtering of chickens. The Board of Health shall issue licenses and develop license application requirements for the keeping of hens. In addition to subsection 11 regarding honeybees, the Board of Health shall issue licenses and develop license application requirements for the keeping of honeybees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll for the zoning subcommittee as amended?
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation to the city council on an ordinance relative to urban farming and beekeeping as amended? Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Serino?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes, Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, and Chairman Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, this has a favorable recommendation to the full city council this evening.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Have a seat. Thank you. Okay.
You scared me.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Flags are going down.
Everything's going down.
What's today's date? June 21st. Welcome to the June 21st Ways and Means Subcommittee meeting. Madam Clerk, please roll call the members.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers.
Here.
Here. Councilor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Council President Zambudo.
Here.
Here. And Chairman Visconti.
Yeah, here.
Here. There's several items on the agenda this evening. First is Council Order 21-153, an ordinance amending the departmental revolving funds table.
If we can have Mr. Viscay come up to the podium.
Good afternoon. Richard Viscay, CFO, City of Revere. What you have before you is a summary document of all of the city revolving funds that we propose be adopted as an amendment to an ordinance that had been put in place in 2018. There's several small variants to the revolving funds, a couple of new revolving funds for our Commission on Disabilities, as well as our water and sewer meters revolving fund, and one last revolving fund that will address after-hour and weekend inspections for our ISD department. Otherwise, mostly everything remains the same. We did remove a couple of small revolving funds that serve no purpose, and I'm here to answer any questions with regard to those revolving funds. Thank you.
I'd like to defer to the subcommittee members first. Any questions for Mr. Viscay? Any councilors? Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I think this one is pretty cut and dry.
Yep.
I certainly support it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Council Powers?
Yeah, I've looked it over, and the only first thing that came to mind was the account for the Parks and Recreation Department. That's still in play, and I'm good with that. And
Yeah, Council, most all of the revolving funds remain the same.
Yeah.
However, since they changed the laws, any modifications does require a change to the ordinance, so we're going through a procedure.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because we do a lot of good programs down there, and
Yeah,
as you know, that's where I came from originally, and I want to make sure that they're getting the same.
Yeah, absolutely no changes to the Park and Rec revolving funds.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions? If not, I've looked over the schedule. I have no problem with it. It's pretty straightforward. So if there are no objections, I'd like to vote that out this evening. Okay. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is a communication from the city auditor requesting a transfer from the Water and Sewer Stabilization Fund to the Water and Sewer Enterprise Funds.
Thank you. Again, as part of the 2022 fiscal year budget, the Water and Sewer Department, due to some increases in fixed costs, primarily debt service to the department, we find ourselves facing double-digit rate increase for fiscal year 22. However, to avoid that double-digit rate increase, the mayor is proposing that we vote $2 million from our water and sewer stabilization account to offset that rate increase for fiscal year 22. Thank you.
Any questions from the subcommittee members? No? Any other members have any questions? Okay. I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. I'm looking at the rate increase. I guess this one as well as the next communication probably go hand in hand. And
that's correct.
I understand we've delayed the payments on those bond payments, so it's increased our payment. Increase the payment amount for, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, by 1.5 million or something like that?
Yeah, but basically what happens is on these large infrastructure projects, we take temporary interim bonds while they're being completed, and you can defer all the principal payments and the interest payments in some cases, up until a point where you finally bring those to market and bond them. So it just so happens that fiscal year '22 will be the first year that 8 of those projects through the state revolving fund for water and sewer come onto our books. So that's primarily the driver here, and most of those projects are required due to the consent decree on the city. So a lot of these fixed costs are really out of our control. We do our best to try to manage them and defer them as much as we could, but eventually, once the projects are done, they come on the books and we have to pay them. Yes, sir.
Eventually, you have to pay the piper sooner or later. And I understand that. I guess my only concern is obviously raising the rate up a little bit. I know we're trying to work that up where it's feasible to the residents. Has there been any other considerations rather than raising the rate? And if not, what would it cost the city in order for it not to raise the rates?
Yeah, well, I explained earlier that about every $300,000 of increase calculates out to about 1% increase on the rate. So the $2 million will mitigate that increase by approximately 7%. We were looking at that double-digit increase. But to answer your question, assessments from the MWRA for water and sewer are fixed costs. The debt service is a fixed cost. However, with some of those American Rescue Plan Act funds, we can look towards the future and maybe deferring some of those projects and not having to pay them through bonds, but we may be able to fund them through those revenues. So maybe not in this fiscal year '22, but as we project out over the next couple of fiscal years, we'd like to try to offset some of the fixed debt charges by using some available funds through that ARPA. And as I've explained a couple of times, we still don't have all of the details on exactly what's acceptable, but water and sewer infrastructure projects are certainly very clearly put in that. So I believe it's not a matter of whether we can use it, it's just how much we want to use compared to some of the other things that we were able to do with those Rescue Plan Act funds.
I understand. If there are no other further questions, we can, all in favor, all opposed? Aye. So ordered.
Next item on the agenda is Council Order 21-188, communication from the city auditor requesting city council adoption of water rates for fiscal year 2022.
I think we...
Yeah, just back to the adoption of the 2022 budget. For those at home that may not know, and everybody else, our water and sewer department is strictly funded through the rates that are charged to the users. And as such, unfortunately, we've been pretty good at being able to hold the line on those rate increases. As a matter of fact, we were able to decrease them 2 fiscal years ago, but with the addition of the debt service that's coming on and just the nature of the natural increases to our water and sewer assessments from MWRA, as well as other operating costs, we've find ourselves at the point where we need to raise those rates up. 3.9% is what we're asking for a rate increase. That, combined with the stabilization fund transfer, gives us a balanced budget in the water sewer enterprise fund for fiscal year '22. So as much as we hate to come up here and ask for a rate increase, eventually we just have to go ahead and match those revenues with the expenditures. So happy to try to answer any questions or concerns of the council. Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Chairman, I have one question. Let's first ask the subcommittee members. Any subcommittee members have a question? Council Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the director, did we, correct me if I'm wrong, last fiscal year, because of COVID, we did not increase rates at all, correct? Were they flat?
That is correct. We left them flat, and we were able to actually defer some MWR debt payments as a program that they ran to help us allow those rates to become flat. So when we kind of recalibrated those debt payments along with the new debt service on there and just the natural increases of the assessments from water and sewer, we don't find any other options. We'd love to keep them flat and decrease them as well, but just not able to do that this fiscal year.
So we did look at all other options before
We've looked at everything. There's nothing worse than coming up here and asking for a rate increase for the water and sewer. So we've explored all the options, and like I explained to and Council Visconti, you know, with some of the funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, we are able to use that on some water and sewer projects. And not that I'd promise you that rates would go down because of that, but we can certainly offset some of the increase that would otherwise have to be paid through debt service.
All right. And if we had increased them last year a little bit, we probably wouldn't be looking at kind of a 3.9. My point being that if we don't vote on this and we don't do 3.9% this year, all we're doing is kicking the can, and it's just going to be a kind of a higher jump if we were to wait, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. They'll compound. So if we happen to raise them 2% last year, assuming we would do the same $2 million transfer from stabilization, it would probably be half of that, correct?
Right. Thank you.
Council Powers?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if in fact we hadn't used that $2 million, then the 3.9 would have been significantly higher?
Yeah, it would be approximately 12%, Council.
Yeah, wow. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Council Rotundo?
Thank you. For you to Director Viskey, my understanding is that, again, through the American Rescue Act, both water and sewer bills that can be adjusted accordingly using this money, as well as infrastructure repair dollars. I know in Illinois they're doing it. I'm reading it right now. They're doing it in other states as well. What amount of those dollars have we thought of possibly allocating towards water and sewer before we're increasing the debt level? I mean, excuse me, the rate.
You know, for fiscal year 22, honestly, other than the positions and such that we have in the budget that we are proposing be funded by those ARPA funds, as well as some revenue replacement for fiscal year 22, we haven't really contemplated any direct revenue into the water and sewer department to offset rates. I know that we could fund some capital projects, but I'll be honest, I haven't read anything that says that we can actually use that for user rate subsidies, and if it's in there, I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying we haven't got that far to contemplate that, so.
Right, and I might be reading it wrong, which is, you know, also possible, but as far as the infrastructure issues, I mean, I know we have a federal decree in order to help with those issues, and that's, you know, a very large amount of money that we're putting forward in order for relining and things of that nature that, you know, instead of going to the MWRA for a loan, you know,
Yeah,
obviously whatever's cost effective.
Absolutely correct, and I just, the timeliness of it doesn't dovetail well with fiscal year 22, unfortunately.
Thank
But
you
you're
very
right,
much.
yeah.
Council President Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Though it's never my intention to be up here and be grateful for a rate increase. However, this could have been 12%, and that would have been very hard to defend. So though it's still substantial, 3.9% increase under the circumstances that there were no increases last year, and we've taken $2 million to offset this. I guess it's the best we can do. So I'm not going to sit here and be happy with a rate increase, but I'm happy it's not as big as it could have been. Thank you.
Council Maravito?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Biscay, will homeowners be receiving notification that the outgoing water credits will no longer be in existence?
I'm not quite sure what you're alluding to.
The outdoor meters that people can bring in and get credit for, we're no longer doing that, correct?
No, we're doing it. What we're doing is we're phasing out of those actually mobile meters that you can hook up to, you know, your water hose outside for your pool and such. And we're moving toward a hard piped in water meter that can't be manipulated, so to speak. I mean, you can hook those meters up anywhere, and they're not exactly the most fraud efficient meters, I would say.
Will homeowners be?
But the program is not going away. It's just going forward. They'd have to have a meter that would be permanently attached to that particular outflow that goes to their yard or their flower bed and such. So the program is not ending. We're just We're just trying to get it, that would be a more reliable and accurate way of ensuring that the water is only billed for water and not the sewer that actually goes into the ground. So that's, so the program isn't ending, it's just transferring to a new style.
Okay, how long is that going to take for every homeowner to?
Well, the people who have them, we're not asking, the ones who have them, if they come in, if there's breaks, or if someone comes in new that wants to do that program, we're just going to go with the new thing. I suppose the people who have the deduct meters as they are now are grandfathered into, but we're not buying new meters to run the program in that manner. We're doing a hard water meter into a house so that if you tamper with it, you will get an alarm through our new census software that will let us know that it's not being run through a washing machine or something.
Got it.
Not that anyone would do that, and just in case. Though.
Thank you.
Council McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask the same thing if I have an old one and it's still on my hose and I wanted to know if I could still keep it. But another question was, thank you. Another question was the seniors aren't going to lose their discount, am I right?
You are right. They are not going to lose their discount.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Council Powers?
Thanks again, Mr. Chairman. Who is going to be paying for the hookup? Let's say somebody has one of the outside meters that breaks down, and we know that's happened in the past. So now you need to put one in your house that's going to service all of the dedicated outside lines. Who's going to pay for the cost of that and the expenses to plumb it in?
The ratepayer will pay for the meter itself. I don't want to say who's going to pay for the installation because I don't 100% have that answer, but I will get back to you. But that meter itself that you pay for now, that's a deduct meter on your hose. You'll still have to pay for that meter, but I'd have to get back to you and talk to the superintendent.
Do we have any numbers on the cost of the meter itself?
Off the top of my head, I do not. I think it's around $100 per meter, but again...
The other ones I remember were $60.
I believe they were like 75 or something, but I don't have all the specifics. I'm happy to get it for you, though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Next matter on the agenda is Council Order 21-206, communication from the city auditor requesting various expenditures from the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund.
Mr. Viskey.
Thank you. Before you is there are actually two. I know the next one is water and sewer, but summary of the capital improvement plan for the fiscal years 21 through 25. In particular, focus on fiscal year 22, and the items before you tonight are those items that we are proposing that we pay with dollars that are available on hand through our capital improvement trust fund. As you know, we deposit each year a portion of our free cash certification into that trust fund for these types of expenses. We've also recently begun to auction off all of our surplus goods through municipal bid, and the proceeds of all those auctions will also go into the capital improvement trust fund, which we then generate out to provide our city departments with the capital requests they need to the extent that we can afford them, and we're here before you to try to get those funds appropriated so we can get them planned for fiscal year 22. Thank you.
Any questions from the subcommittee members? Council Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question. Can you tell me off the top of your head what is available with free cash right now, currently available, and if in fact, isn't that money supposed to be used for one-time expenditures as they become necessary in the city?
Absolutely. Free cash can be spent for any legal purpose, and per city ordinance, we're required to appropriate 20% of that free cash into the capital improvement trust fund, as well as 20% into our, 15% into our regular trust fund, and we've also appropriated money into our other post-employment benefit trust fund. The fiscal year 2021 free cash was substantially lower at $1.6 million due to the inflows of revenue being sharply decreased, as well as a pretty lean budget that was pretty much expended to its fullest in the fiscal year. So
what do we have right now in free cash?
We have I didn't bring that form with me, but I think give me a second. It's about 700,000 or so. But that free cash, we also could use for any legal purpose at the end of the year, like making sure that we have no deficits when we close the books. So I tried, as a matter of purpose, to use our capital improvement trust fund to fund these capital items. The one thing that we've done in the past is road work with our free cash. However, you may recognize that we are asking to fund the street program with a $5 million bond. And those bonding articles will come forward after the fiscal year closes.
And can't that money also be used for monies that may be in excess now, things that we planned and the cost has gone up due to the cost of materials and labor?
Yeah, but we wouldn't fund large capital projects with the pay-as-you-go dollars. We usually fund those through bonding, which, as you say, the cost to borrow money is pretty cheap, and that's one of the strategies on why we're contemplating bonding out our road work for the next 3 to 4 years with a bond.
Because there are issues out there that probably will cost more to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We vet through all the process, and we try to go through grant dollars. We try to look at any other financing sources. And then at the end of the day, it's really coming down to whether we bond something or whether we pay with available funds.
The cost of building materials has gone up significantly in the past year and a half.
No, understood.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions from the subcommittee? Okay. I just have a couple. I noticed there are some line items for police, fire, obviously DPW. My question on the numbers is how are they derived, and what's the thought process in those numbers exactly? There's, with no documentation behind it. It's to me, it's an arbitrary number. So I'm just wondering the thought process and where it came from.
Yeah, sure.
And if I may add before, does it make sense to bond any of these expenses as well? So if you may.
Sure. I can assure you that the numbers aren't arbitrary. Typically, all of the requests are vetted through with the mayor and myself and the respective departments to try to, again, we have approximately 30 departments, maybe not all of them use capital, but everybody's asking for what they think they need, and then we just try to be pretty, we try to deliver what they need within the scope of what we have available. So in a typical year, we've appropriated $1 million of available funds for capital. You'll notice it's been hedged down to about $800,000 this year, but more specifically, could we bond some of these items? I believe we could, but we have a substantial amount of some significant bonding coming down the road, especially when you think of the facility for the new school, and we have potentially a new school coming down on the Volk, and those larger debt service items, we like to do that. We also, like I said, we typically have used free cash or stabilization fund for road work. We're finding that the road work is exceeding the $1.5 million a year, so we are contemplating using a $5 million bond with the council's approval for those types of services. So there is there's definitely a process that we go through. Sometimes it's the balance of whether they give you too much papers or not enough papers, but certainly can try to get you any info on any particular item you may need. But and going forward, we can certainly give you more info on that. But we vet through the process, and we just try to be as diligent and serve all the needs of our department as best we could with the dollars we have.
Absolutely. Just in looking at the capital improvement plan, I also noticed in Parks and Rec, there's a health and wellness facility with to be determined in terms of how it's going to be sourced. Is there? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Certainly. We have put out an RFP for a recreational and wellness facility for the city, and we've received one bid to get some recreational space that's being negotiated now with regard to a lease, and the numbers that are in the capital project reflect what I believe will be the cost of being able to secure a new building for us to have a wellness and a recreation center. To be determined is in there because it's our hope to use the American Recovery Act funds to fund that operation, but we're still working through the details with the government to make sure we can do that. And if we can't use them directly for something like that, we may be able to fund it through a revenue replacement as well. So at the time of printing this, it was not exactly a set in stone plan, but we thought it was important enough to get it before you and at least have it so it's not something that just pops up. You know, as a matter of fact, the entire plan is designed so that there are stuff in the out fiscal years that we anticipate doing, and sometimes they shift back and forth, but we want to try to keep everybody at least aware of where the dollars will be spent in the future years. Last year, for example, we were only supposed to buy one pumper truck for the fire department, but because the rates were low and we had some favorable terms on securing the trucks, we had about a 3% discount we were going to lose. We decided to move one up, and we funded 2 pumper trucks. So always throughout the year, we're getting requests from the departments, and we kind of have this fluid capital plan that at some point we take a picture of and have to put it before you. So so I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. If there are no other questions from the councilors, okay, all approved, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. I think there's one more.
And one remaining item on the agenda for the Ways and Means Subcommittee, Council Order 21-207, communication from the City Auditor requesting various expenditures from the Water and Sewer Retained Earnings Fund.
Thank you. Very similar to the general fund. Last year or the year before, I can't remember exactly, we proposed that we should be doing a capital improvement fund for the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund. So over the last several years, we've been trying to refine this and just to lay out exactly what we're spending our money on, especially with regard to the bonding and such, because we're before you asking for rate increases, and a lot of people want to know where that money's going. So you can see as part of the 5-year forecast, there's about $60 million worth of capital projects that are contemplated over the next 5 fiscal years. And what we're doing right now is for fiscal year 22, just laying out what we plan to expend, and those items that we believe we can fund with one-time revenues, we are contemplating using our retained earnings from our water and sewer stabilization account. So if you have any questions on anything in particular, happy to answer them. Thank you.
Any councilors have any questions? Any subcommittee? No? I don't seem to have any problem with the appropriations. Obviously, it's needed. Point of Pines drain station, that's probably very much needed. So
yeah, I think all these are, many of them are needed right away, but again, we try to prioritize it and lay them out in a responsible manner.
Great. If there are no further questions, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. I think this adjourns the Ways and Means Subcommittee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Appointment Subcommittee meeting for June 21st, 2021. First order of business is 21-104, communication from the mayor regarding the appointment of J. Marchese and Sons as a licensed drain layer. Is anyone from J. Marchese here? When you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Scott Karpinski. I'm the general manager for J. Marchese and Sons, 69 Norman Street, Everett, Mass.
Thank you. This is a reappointment, obviously. You work for one of the better companies in and we congratulate you on that, and you do a lot of work within our community.
Thank you.
We have members of the subcommittee, Councilor Janino, Councilor McKenna, Councilor Powers, and Councilor Visconti. Any questions from the membership of the subcommittee? See, Council President Zambudo.
I just want to say that I've known Scott Karpinski for many years. He's a true professional, and like you already said, the company is a first-rate company and does a great job for our city. So I certainly support him and the company. Thank you.
Okay, and the motion on the floor is to approve. All in favor, all opposed, so ordered. Scott, in the next few days, you can contact the city clerk's office and pick up the proper paperwork. There's no need to stay in attendance this evening. You will be voted out favorably, and we appreciate your attendance here tonight.
Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
time.
Scott.
Thank you.
Next is 21-107, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Tufts Construction as a licensed drain layer. Is any member from Tufts Construction here? This is starting to annoy the chair. This is the second appearance that has been requested of Tufts, and they haven't come before us. So I'm going to ask that this be tabled one last time. At the next meeting that we hold, it'll be held. And I'm going to also have a communication sent to Don Charmello from the Water and Sewer Department in the City of Revere that no work be awarded to this particular company until he appears before us. Thank you. Next is 21-156, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Rosalie Gaffney to the Board of Elder Affairs, and I ask that be placed on file. Next is 21-157, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Frank Scatino to the Board of Elder Affairs. I also ask that be placed on file. Next is communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Len Piazza to the Board of Elder Affairs. Len, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please. Take your time, sir. Howdy. Press the button.
My name is Len Piazza. I'm at 177 Bellingham Avenue in Beachmont, the capital of Revere.
I don't know. God bless you, Len. You're consistent. He's talking about the capital of Revere. We know, all of us know Len very, very well. So I see a couple of members would like to say something. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to speak in favor of this appointment. Len is an asset to our community, and I'm really excited to see him on this board. Thank you.
Councilor, you live in the capital also?
I do.
Okay.
Capital of
Councilor McKenna.
Revere, Beachmont. I've known Lenny all my life. Congratulations, Lenny. I think this is a great appointment, and Lenny has been so active in the Beachmont community, so it's a great fit. Thanks, Lenny.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've known Lenny for many, many years. I actually knew his father, and so that's when I started. He's a great man.
He's a name tosser. Don't pay attention to him.
I'm not quite that old, but I was around for quite a while. But he's a wonderful man, and so is Lenny, as we all know and love. Thank you.
Councilor Morbido.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm 200% in favor of this appointment. Lenny, what can I say? Deserving of this appointment.
Well, I've always known him to say the truth, but he comes up and says the capital of Revere is Beachmont, But anyway, Len, God bless you for your service to our community. Do as you've done in the past. Do a great job.
I'd like to mention that I have enjoyed being a resident of the city of Revere for a very long time. At this point, I'm 93, and in July 28th, I'll be 94. And I look forward.
Congratulations. I found somebody in the city who's older than me. Congratulations.
And I look forward to enjoying many more years with all of you. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your health. God bless. All in favor, all opposed, so ordered. Next is 21-159, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mary Vigalotta to the Board of Elder Affairs. Is Mary available? Mary, you are following a very, very tough act to follow, so
I know.
come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. I'm
Hi.
Mary Vigliotta, 55 Crest Avenue in Revere, and I also live in the capital of Revere.
I was going to say, oh my God, we got another one from the capital of Revere. This is capital
one
night.
of them too.
Mary, so proud to have you here.
Thank you so
Now, this is
much.
the first for you.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Any members of the subcommittee wishing to say anything to Mary? Obviously, you're a ward councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you,
My
Mr.
buddy.
Chairman. I just think she would be a great fit for the Elderly Affairs program. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Council President Zambudo.
I just want to thank this lady for serving, and I'm happy that the mayor appointed you. It's a great appointment.
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say congratulations to both you and Len. I think they're great appointments, and I will be supporting this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another wonderful appointment. However, there's a lot of Beachmont people in here tonight. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Councilor McKenna, is
I'm
something going
starting
on?
to see the trend here.
Great appointment. Thank you.
Yeah.
We stick together.
Councilor Morabito.
I think the mayor is meeting some new friends being a Beachmont resident now.
Yeah.
But no, I'm 100% in favor of this appointment.
Thank you.
I know you'll make us proud.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Mary, it sounds like you have the wonderful personality.
Thank you.
And
I
it seems
love
like
people,
you'd
yes.
be a blessing to the Elder Affairs because they already have some wonderful people serving there.
Absolutely.
And so you're joining a very, very nice group, and your addition will make it even nicer. And congratulations, we will vote you all favorably this evening. No need to stay in attendance if you don't so desire. And congratulations.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
putting your name forward to serve our community.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
21-160, communication mayor relative to the appointment of Richard Fernandez to the Board of Elder Affairs. Place that on file. Next is 21-161, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of William Reedy to the Board of Elder Affairs. All I know, Bill, is you've got some good people to serve with.
We sure do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
William J. Reedy Jr., 350 Revere Beach Boulevard, Revere, Mass.
And everybody in Revere Beach knows you. Any members of the subcommittee wishing to say something? Members of the subcommittee? Councilor Zambudo.
Another fine appointment by the mayor, and we're grateful that you want to serve, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Janino.
Another wonderful appointment. Good luck.
Councilor Morabito.
Yeah, I echo the same sentiment. Great appointments. He's a vet, and I know he'll look out for the senior vets and the seniors throughout our city. So thank you for serving, and I'm glad to see you as an appointee.
Thank you, Stephen.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not only is this a very qualified person, a person that is always in the best interest of the city of Revere, but he has something else going for him, too. He lives in Ward 5.
Oh.
So we can't have everybody from
So he's not
Beachmont.
from the capital. That's okay.
Bill, congratulations.
Any other members wishing to speak? Seeing none? Bill, we certainly appreciate you being around. You've always got that good, friendly smile. You add tremendous pleasure to our community. We welcome you back to serve our city and do the good job you've been doing for the past several years, and we love to work with you.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you for your attendance tonight. Next is 21-173, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Debbie Pizza DiGiulio as Director of Elder Affairs. Now, the last time you were boldly shut off by this chair is that this is the recognition we want you to receive, and that's why we knew that this was the place for you. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Pesca DiGiulio, 119 Arnold Street in Revere.
Does anybody know her? Any members of the subcommittee know her? Members of the subcommittee? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. I've known Deb, for many years, know her kids. I believe this is a great fit for the senior center. I think you'll have wonderful ideas. I think you're kind and passionate about the seniors. You want them to have the best experience, and I think you're a great fit. So I'm totally in favor of this. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you well remember, I broke protocol when I announced that.
He's the one, Deb. He's the one.
And I apologize for doing that, but I was so excited about the appointment. Her track record is unbelievable. The seniors love her. She's doing a wonderful job, and she loves Revere. And so another great appointment by the mayor. Thank you for serving.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deb, you know that Senior Center holds a special place with me. I love going there. I enjoy it. They have always welcomed me from the start of...
They don't know him.
From the start of my political career. So when I was told that you were taking over, and going into that building, the transition, and a lot of seniors were a little concerned, to say the least. And I kept saying, just relax, because there's a person coming who fits that position to a T. And I was so excited to hear that you were being appointed. I am ecstatic that it's become official, because you have done a great job through the pandemic. Talking to all of the seniors that I talk to, they love you. And I can't say, they can't say enough about you. So I'm ecstatic. I think it's a great appointment from the mayor. And I look forward to stopping in and helping out whenever I can.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I could not be more excited on this appointment. Deb, you're a phenomenal person in general, but I cannot think of a better person to fit this role. Your personality, the way you care about people, and genuinely just care from your heart, and it's so real and so genuine. I can't think of a better person to be working with our seniors and to be in this position. Having the opportunity to go back to the senior center for the first time in over a year the other day, just to go in there and to see fresh paint on the walls and new curtains and just a really bright, beautiful atmosphere for our seniors to enjoy. They deserve that, and they deserve you. So I'm really excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Debbie, the mayor has made many good appointments, but I think this is certainly, if not his best, one of his best. Occasionally, I go down to the senior center when there are events down there, and I can't think of anyone with the work ethics, other than yourself, that he could put down there in that position. Somehow, with the improvements you've made down there, it seems like home to many people. And that's what we should be doing for our seniors in the city, making them feel at home, making sure that they're getting whatever is necessary to make that a more pleasant visit. And you certainly, from what I've seen, have more than done that. You've excelled my expectations, and I want to congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you.
They're not clapping for you, Judge.
I figured as much. That was pretty quick, Arthur. I wasn't going to speak for obvious reasons because of brevity, but all the appointments tonight are phenomenal. Mr. Reedy, former, neighbor, and his son is a friend of mine. Pisano, all you are great picks, but I'm sorry, you're my favorite. I can't deny it. You know why. But also because of your strong work during COVID. I seen you there. I know what you did. I'm not saying that to lessen from anybody else, but Councilor Powers said, you're probably his best one tonight. And I have personal reasons to feel that way. So you got my vote 100%.
Thanks,
I
Council.
hope you don't
Thank
cry.
I'm trying not to here.
Councilor Morbido.
I'll make you cry. So Debbie, I just want to say, after not seeing the senior citizens in our community for so long because of the pandemic, it was nice to see how you were involved during the pandemic and how you made that little video and posted it online. It was so great to see so many of the familiar faces. And it was even better to see them in person when I went to the barbecue for the seniors. And I have full faith in you in taking on this role. But I still asked some of the seniors that day how they felt about the transition. And it was all positive feedback. They were so happy to be back, and they were very hopeful. And I reassured them that you'll be a great fit. And I even guarantee that you'll be teaching them Zumba classes as well. No, but,
With you.
Yeah, not me. I don't want to break a hip. But no, I'm 100% in favor of this appointment. I know you're going to do a great job.
Thanks.
Well, after all those beautiful words, I'm going to probably ask them for a vote. I don't know if you have the support or not. It doesn't. But I just think that I've heard a lot of accolades thrown your way now, so you walking out of here like 7'2", and it's going to be...
Council, let me just say, I'm very humble and appreciative, and I thank the mayor, and I thank all of you, but you're only as good as the people that surround you.
And a special thank you for me for making sure that you're here to get all this
I thank you.
Stuff in person. This is what we wanted. God bless you, and do a good job for our city as you do, and we're really proud that the mayor has offered up your name and to do the position that you've been selected to do, because I think you'll do a great job, as I know you will.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, and we all appreciate the work you've done.
Thank you.
Next is 21-174, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Sarah Budak to Zoning Board of Appeals, and I ask that that be tabled. Next is 21-175, communications from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mario Romanes to the Commission on Disability. Is Mario available? Okay, Mario, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, yeah, Mario Romanes, and I live in 107 Franklin Ave in Revere.
Great. Any questions from the members of the city, of the subcommittee? No questions. Mario, any questions from the members of the council?
No.
Let's hear from Ralph.
Ralph, maybe we have Ralph will come up and say a few words.
Okay.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ralph DeChico, Revere Commission on Disabilities. I just wanted to give you my full support for Mr. Romanes. As you've seen by his resume, he would be a tremendous asset to the Revere Commission on Disabilities with his experience, his knowledge, and his all-around work that he has done. These are the type of people and the diversity that I'm trying to bring onto the Revere Commission on Disabilities. This was a great appointment by the mayor's office, and I look forward to him being appointed and working with the Revere Commission on Disabilities. It's been a full transformation of this Commission on Disabilities. It's taken a few years, but I think we're finally getting there.
Well, I certainly applaud the mayor's selection, because it seems like Mr. Romanes it looks like a great selection. It looks like he wants to really come out and give you an assistance on that disability. And I certainly applaud you, sir, for taking the opportunity to receive this appointment, and I thank the council for their vote. We will vote you out favorably this evening, sir, and there's no need to stay in attendance, and thank you for your service to our city. All in favor, all opposed, so ordered. And that concludes the appointment subcommittee for the meeting of June 21st, 2021. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you.